In this video, I'm going to be showing you how I made this and this thumbnail for free on Canva. You need to have your video idea and title already laid out. This is going to help curate your thumbnail to complement the title rather than obstruct it. Now that you know that, let's hop into it. Okay, so this is the thumbnail that we're going to be making. So we're going to work backwards. So one of the first steps that I did was find the picture of Lucasen, which is the player I was covering in this video, in the highest quality that I could. So I went on Instagram and then I searched up Lucasen and boom, here we are, we found him. Now there are several good pictures like this one, like this one. So I weighed my options and I said, this one's actually probably the best looking one and the highest quality. So all I did was I have a app called it's like a snipping tool, same thing as a screenshot. I cropped it like this, snipped his picture, copied the picture. Okay, then I can just exit out. Then you want to go to this site. It's called remove.bg. It's a background remover app, and all you do is copy or upload your image, and then it removes the background completely. So that's step one. We have our main canvas, which is Lucasen, right? Go ahead and basically put this up like this. You want to scale it so it's big enough. One big thing whenever you're making a thumbnail is you want the space to be taken up where if they're on a small screen or on their PC, it's very easy for the viewer to see what's going on. So far you can start to see, okay, it's coming along. Now my video was titled, "What Makes Lucasen the #1 player?" And so I was thinking, what makes sense is, a king's throne, a king is crown. Because the king is quote unquote the best, the king of the hill, the top dog. So all I did was search crown PNG. And all a PNG is basically an image without a background. So this is the one I had used. In some cases, you'll see there's just a white background. So when you paste it, it's going to be white. You don't want that. You just want to go into our app again, remove remove.bg, and then it'll remove the background. You copy it, boom, paste it, and now as you see, the white is gone. And then all I did was resize it to his head. And as you can tell, there's this little shadow in the back. So I cropped it up to make it look more clean, where that shadow is no longer there. And it's more like a straight cut. So I just adjusted it, as you can tell. This may not be a perfect replica, but I just want to show you how I did these certain things, okay? Great. I'm not going to totally line it up to be exactly on his head, but you get the point. Now we've got a king's crown. Great. Wow, it's coming along. And now I'm thinking, okay, what is a good background? Like you want to have a solid, clean-looking, bright background that captures the attention, but does not take away from the main text in the main image, which is #1 player and Lucasen himself. And so because I was covering a Call of Duty mobile player, I just looked up Nuketown. As you can see, this pops up. And I was originally looking through all these different photos. And the reason I didn't choose them is because there's too many objects that are distracting from the main image and the main focus, which is him and the text. So I kept on searching and eventually I found the house. So we're going to keep going here. And boom, just like that, we have found the image. So you just want to copy it. Boom, full screen it. Now, before I actually put it to the back, what I always like to do is adjust the colors. So under edit image over here, you want to go to adjust. And I really love testing out, and I use this for every photo or thumbnail that I do, is adjusting the vibrance. As you can see, it looks so dull compared to when you put the vibrance on 100. Now, in some cases with certain images, 100 may be too much, so play around with it to see what you like. But for me, I really love how 100 looks, and I add a little bit of brightness to increase some of that popping factors. Obviously, this is too high, too low, so I kind of just like play around with it, get a little center point, maybe 35, 34. This should be all right. I play around with the contrast. This looks too ugly. Obviously, that's too nullified. But there's a sweet spot, like right here. 0, 16 looks pretty good. When we start getting here, to 30, 40 plus, it looks a little bit too contrasty, as you can tell. So I'll say, like, honestly, 15 is pretty good, or whatever. One difference not gonna kill us. 15. And typically I keep it like that. Sometimes I play around with the saturation too, just to make those colors pop a bit more. So I'm just gonna put this to 20 for now, and boom. Now I can layer it to the back. So it's already coming along, which is amazing. And then I was thinking, obviously this is too bright. This is too much. It's taken away from the main thing too much, which is Lucas in the text, as we've discussed in the past. So what I did is I found an image that is black. So you can see, one second. It's a black image that has little specks. Particles, PNG. And then you'll see there's a bunch of different kinds of particle pictures. You want to find one that doesn't have this little checkered background, because at least with Canva, it gets in the way and you can see that it's checkered, which makes it look ugly. So I don't know exactly which one I picked, but let's just use this as the reference. And let's paste it. So we go here. Obviously, we have to crop out the Shutterstock part. Make it full screen to grasp it. As you can tell, obviously, it's way too dark. So we're going to send it to the back. Sorry. Send the back. And then send the Nuketown, the main background behind it. And then all I did was adjust the transparency. So this is too much, and this is too much on either end. So you want to start kind of playing around with it. Kind of something like this. I'm gonna flip it to make it a bit more matching the original. So again, it's not perfect. It's not the exact same background, but I'm just giving you the idea on how I did it here. As you can tell, I was taking a look at his logo and his organization, like color scheme, which is purple to blue. So I looked up a background that has a gradient of purple to blue. And as you can see, a bunch of different pictures have come up. This one seems pretty decent in terms of what it's trying to accomplish, or what I want to accomplish with it. So I flipped it horizontally because purple's on the left and blue is on the right. So you just cover it, boom, fill it out, send to back, send to back, send to back, and then right here, same thing like we did with the black background. You kind of want to adjust the transparency to make it subtle. So as you can tell in this picture, it's quite subtle. The transparency is at 20. So we're going to set it to 20 as well. So 20 is like that sweet spot. So we have it on 20. Amazing. Now, as you can tell, it's already coming along. One thing we didn't do is adjust Lucasen. So we're going to go ahead and take the vibrancy up. That's too much. 25 seems pretty good. That's too much. That's a bit too much here. His face is a bit glowy. About this. This seems about right. Something along these lines. And as you can tell, it's coming along quite well. Now, in order to enhance the effect and further make Lucasen pop, I have the background. As you can see, the blue and the purple glowy background, which also complements his logo and shirt design. And how we did that is we just copy and paste him on one hand here. Kind of orient him to the front. I'll go like halfway. Great. Like this. Maybe we can go like that too. And then, boom, we copy it. Bring him out on the other side. And halfway as well. So before we put it to the back, what we're going to do is go to effects. We're going to go to blur. And we're going to put 100% blur on the image. And we're going to do the same thing for the other side. Excellent. So as you can tell, it's coming along, but the color scheme is not accurate. So we're going to go under adjust, and we're going to adjust the tint here. Wait, let me click on this one. The tint, we're going to make it purple, kind of matching that color scheme. And then for this side, we're going to make it blue. Just kind of feel it out here. Boom. And as you can tell, it's coming along again, which is amazing. Then we're going to send it to the backwards. Send it backwards. Send backwards. Send backwards. Great. Now, they're a little bit dull. Okay. So what we're going to do is adjust some of the features over here to amplify the colors. One of the things we should do is increase the vibrance. As you can tell, it glows better when you do that. And the saturation as well. You can tell it glows more too. And sometimes you'll have one side of the picture that gives you trouble like this, where this line doesn't go away because of how the picture is structured. So all I would do is I copied it again, and then you just flip it. And the beautiful thing about this is that the settings for the image are already there. So all you want to do is put the temperature up, boom, and then we can send them to the back. Now we can also adjust it so it shows more. If the blue is not blue enough for you, that's okay. You can adjust the saturation to make it even more blue. That's how I prefer it, actually. And then we can bring this out more like this. So already it's looking much, much better. So anyways, now we need to get the #1 player text. So how did I do that? You can either go through the text option here, create #1 player. Okay. There's a lot of different kind of text options you can do and text you can change. But for this one in particular, all I did is go to Premiere Pro. So on Premiere Pro, I have an orange background that I always import. I'll put it up here, expand it, and make it full size. If you don't have Premiere Pro, you can use the free text options on Canva, or you can find a different app which you can make your text. If you don't like the ones that they have on Canva, for me, I personally don't like the way it's oriented on Canva as much as I do on Premiere Pro. So keep following along. I'm going to show you how it's done. I pull up the text option here. Okay. #1 player. Great. Amazing. So all I'm going to do is expand this. And now we're going to go to Essential Graphics. And one of my favorite fonts is Burbank Condensed. Big Condensed. I find it's really clean when it comes to thumbnails, and it's my personal favorite as of now. So you want to put the background, or sorry, not the background, the shadow as black, completely black. You want to make it 100%, so there's no transparency. This is all about just transparency, that setting. Set it behind, and this is going to also make it either blurry or solid. I like to keep mine on solid, and then I adjust the background, the black background. And I think this looks pretty nice. Another thing I like to do is I like to keep things capitalized in general. So under Essential Graphics, that was unnecessary. You wanna capitalize. This is looking pretty good so far. And so then I go to export. And then there's a cropping tool. The snipping tool that I had before, you wanna snip, copy. Okay. And then what we're going to do is go back to our browser, and under background remover, you want to paste it. This will remove all the orange. This will give you the text. And then boom, here we go. We're already looking good. You want to copy it. And then you want to crop this. So as you can tell, it's already coming along. The only thing we got to do is just resize it. And boom. This needs to be touching the edge too. Bam. And then obviously you can play around with it and make it a little bit better and more specific how you like it. There we go. Now the background looks really perfect. And pretty much an exact replica. Obviously there's a few different changes. I made this one a little bit bigger, and I made it a bit more contrasting so that Lucasen stands out a bit more. But overall, as you can tell, this is the concepts of how I make my thumbnails. Again, you can make it more prettied up and blah, 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 like I did on this one. For the crown, for example, you can make it more gold looking by increasing the vibrancy, giving some brightness. You know what I'm saying? You can play around with it, get creative. But that's this thumbnail. Now for the second kind of thumbnail, which is exactly like this, All I did was think about what the video title was, and I'm gonna pull up the video so you can see it right now. So the title is When a Pro Player Meets the #1 Player in Season 5 of COD Mobile. I already had this title generally in mind, so I knew how I wanted to orient the thumbnail. And as you can tell, this is the skin I was wearing. This is the skin my opponent was wearing, the #1 player. And so it's a very simple thumbnail. This is the map we are playing. So everything in the thumbnail is reflecting what's going to be shown in the gameplay. And that's also important so that when people are clicking, they kind of have an idea on what it's going to be like and they're not misled. So all I did was look up this character on Google and this character on Google, and I sifted through a bunch of them to finally find these two. I went on the leaderboards and screenshotted the rank of the #1 player. I also did that when I was a #1 player before. And all I did was copy it, like resized it so that essentially it's popping in big. So you can see it whether you're on a phone or whether you're on a PC. It's easy to tell what's going on. I put the verses here from Google, so verse PNG. And as you can tell, you have the versus icon. Boom. This comes from. So I looked up Iskra Chapel for that skin, and I found this one to be the cleanest, highest quality looking picture, which is where I got this. Because it's me versus the other person, all I did was flip it. Okay. Boom. And in order to get the background, I'm going to show you quickly what I did. I just took this image, copied it again, okay? And then I edited it, and I put the brightness to top maximum. And then I just played around with all these settings. So the whites need to be high, the blacks need to be low. The shadows doesn't really matter, as you can tell. Highlights will matter. And vibrance also affects things. So this is the gist of what I did, really. And then all you do, since it's pretty much all good to go now, you can adjust this, turn up the contrast, and I just put it backwards. Literally, you just take the image, put it backwards, and then it creates this effect. And it's the same thing for the other side. I was looking through all these pictures. I tried a bunch of different kinds, but then I found this perfect one right here. And so I'm like, wow, this is actually such high quality. It demonstrates what I'm looking for. So I put it in the background remover app. So anyways, you copy it. You do the same thing where you make it white. Boom. Send it to the back. Line it up. And then you'll get this on both sides. Put the verses in the middle. For the background, similar to the previous thumbnail, all I did was look up the standoff. As you can tell here. Super high quality picture. So I'm like, all right, let me go ahead and paste it. Brought it to the front first. The concepts are always the same. You can play around with the different contrasts, the brightness, blah, 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 blah. You just don't want to make it look so contrasty and colored up and it looks weird. You want it to look clean and natural. That's the one thing I learned with thumbnails. And then you just send it to the back. Boom. Simple. And then for an added effect, as you can see, there's some blurriness on the sides. So what I did is under edit image, you can add blur. And then you can actually adjust where you want the blur to be and how intense you want it to be. So I think I put it around 10. Put my brush size around 50. Okay. And then I just brushed. You can even make it bigger just to brush where you want the blur to be faster. And then I brushed here. And then you just go back. Now you can tell it looks like a natural kind of blur, which is beautiful. Great. We sent it back and boom. It kind of creates this nice little effect where the focus is on the center. It accentuates the #1 positionings that I have up top on the left and the right. And it basically puts more emphasis on the main matters, which is the character, the #1 rank, versus, and it still shows the background in the middle in a clear way. And as you can tell, the colors overall complement each other. It's not just all cool colors and then just some random hot pink, which doesn't fit. all the colors kind of work together in this picture, which is what makes it more appealing to the eye. And then you see there's a white little background behind each of the 4 corners of the #1 ranking. You get that from elements, lines, and then literally just tracing lines where each corner is. Like behind each corner like this. And then sometimes it gets a little finicky. And then like that. And then you can just stretch it all the way. Mine is acting up a little bit because I have so much elements that it's trying to stick to. But when I was creating it, it worked really good. And this is the best way to make a clean little border like this. So hopefully you find this video insightful and helpful. Hopefully you can make some killer thumbnails as a result. If you want me to cover something else, or if you had questions about how I did something and it wasn't clear, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you guys. I'll be reading pretty much everything. So yeah, thanks for watching and enjoy. Talk to you in the next video.